Pop quiz, hotshots. What do all of these pieces have in common? They're all casualties on the way to something that I'm really excited about to share with you guys. Something that I hope you enjoy and I hope you get a little something out of. They're all casualties on the road to this. And what is this? It is my custom Transformers Generations Deluxe Class Nightbeat with a Headmaster Nightbeat head. And yes, he is now a Headmaster. Stick around, I'm going to review this mold. I've never looked at it on the channel before. I'm going to explain to you step by step exactly how I accomplished this. We're going to talk about everything to do with a character that I was never ever really that excited about in the latest GotBot True review. Welcome back to the channel, folks, and hey, if it's your first time being here, thanks for dropping by. I am your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, share, check out Machinery of Man and the Everything Factor. Look for me everywhere, and why not, spend some time on the page, see what tickles your fancy, and why not watch Universal Collision while you're at it. This is where we will begin. This is the head that came on the Deluxe Class Generations Nightbeat. It's a nice head, but it's obviously not a Headmaster. And Nightbeat, I know that the story is somewhat weaved and convoluted, but to my mind, Nightbeat is a Headmaster. He certainly was as a G1 toy, and that's kind of what I was looking for. So I passed over the Deluxe Class figure when it came out, but this is the head of it. It's a nice head. It's nicely painted. It looks like Nightbeat, which actually looks more like Siren or the Headmaster Loudmouth than the Headmaster Nightbeat looks. I know, kind of convoluted, but this was the head that came out. It's nice. It's painted nice. It looks great. It doesn't transform into a little robot. So I passed them over. And back in episode 121, I did look at this guy. This is the Headmaster Nightbeat. It's a nice head sculpt, but again, it looks more like Siren than Nightbeat. It's really weird what they did here. But this is what we got in that line. Like I said, I looked at it in episode 121. Don't go back and watch that because it was pretty bad. It was pretty terrible. This was all parts of his little vehicle. It's apart now because I needed to take it apart to do this custom that I want to show you guys. So I'm going to take that out of it. It was okay. I mean, a little tank that turned into a plane. Overall, I gave this Nightbeat a score of about a 2 or 3. I mean, it is what it is. And this is the main body of the Deluxe Class version. Now, I managed to pick this up as of this recording about a week ago. Starscream Girlfriend and I went to Sci-Fi on the Rock and had a ball. Thanks to the fine folks at JJ's Fun Stop, I was able to score this guy. I didn't think I'd get him, but as soon as I got the Headmaster, I said way back then, wow, I wish I had this guy now so that I could do something with it. I've heard rumors that we will actually be getting in the Titans Return line a Deluxe Class Nightbeat, but nothing has been confirmed, and I wanted something now because I don't have any patience. So I did this. He is a fully functioning, fully operational, fully working Headmaster now. Here he is with, his little partner. I can, of course, close him up and put him up into his Titan Master slot, no problem. The head that was on it was on a mushroom peg. It could look left, it could look right. This one can still look left and right. It can look slightly up, slightly down, but I don't want to push it too much. In terms of the rest of the articulation now, for this figure, for this mold, well, the shoulders go out and, you know, a nice bit to the side. I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. When you take them down, you have a nice bicep swivel, tight bicep swivel. You have an elbow that's on a soft ratchet, which is really weird. Nothing at the wrist, I don't think. No, nothing that I can garner at the wrist. These whole shoulder pauldrons, if you don't like them up, I mean, you could straighten out the door and put these back, you know, on his shoulders more if you are so inclined. That's your choice. Taking those out to the side. The legs can go out about that far. It's not, you know, full splits, but it's still pretty good. They can go all the way forward. They can go back about that far because of the back kibble. But again, it's effective. Thigh swivel, nice deep knee bend. If I take this off, nice deep knee bend. The kneecap doesn't really move with it, but the kneecap does move a little bit. The feet can tilt forward and back because of transformation. Nothing to the side, nothing at the waist. It's decent articulation. It's not stellar, it's decent articulation. I'm going to give his articulation about a 7. It's good, it does what you want it to do, and he's pretty stable, so I dig that. I really do. I did paint all of the yellow on it because I wanted it to match the face of the Titan Master. The yellow that was on it was, it almost had like a green tinge to it. I think it's because it really needed another coat. Anyway, I actually used a yellow umber, and that was a pretty close match to the face. The blue of the Titan Master and the blue on this figure are a little bit off. Titan Master is a shade darker. They're definitely on the same palette, but the Titan Master is definitely a shade darker. The yellow plastic used on the Titan Master is a match to the yellow plastic used on the deluxe class figure. For example, on his weapons, which are these strange things. And I'll take him out of it. You saw that they can already peg on the legs. They can each go in his hand loosely. All right, but kind of loose on mine. They can also go up under his forearm. There's a hole up there, but again, having it up under his forearm is really quite loose. I mean, you just saw it fall out there. Or, as you might already know, you might not, I don't know, you can put the handles of these gun pieces thingies back. I kind of dig the translucent plastic here, by the way. I don't usually, but I kind of dig it on this. And these two pieces can go together. They should be able to go together. Yeah, there you go. They go together to give you this. I don't know what this is, but it looks kind of cool. So, you know, I guess I dig it for what it is, and, you know, it's something. It is definitely something. So, paint apps, because I had to do some work myself, and I'm mixing two here, I'm going to give his paint apps, I'll give him about a 7.5. About a 7.5. Truth is, I have seen people do this mod, and I got the idea for this, and I refined it a little bit, but I got it by honestly looking at fan boards and, you know, doing internet searches and just finding images and pictures of things that people had done. I've seen this same sort of mod done with the Siren Titan Master, custom painted. By all means, I would encourage you, if you are down for trying to match the blues and the yellows of that guy, hey, do it. I just wasn't down for that. I stuck with what we had released. But I can't argue with people that are brave enough to do that. Transformation, we got to get into that, but before we do, how does this guy stack up? Well, here he is next to my custom Titan's Return cup. I'm recently done a little bit of an update with this guy and Perceptor, and talked about how to make barricades roof section into an arm shield. When did I do that? I did that little update in episode I did that little update in episode 262, and actually I have been toying with the idea of doing the shins of this guy green and making his knees gray. I haven't done it yet because I'm afraid it might scratch off. We'll see how that goes. I don't know if I'll do an update on that or not, but I'm sure you'll see Cup again in the future anyway. But they scale well, they do. It looks good. So what about the transformation? Can this guy still transform where I removed his head? Sure he can. Sure he can, but I want to explain to you exactly how it was that I done this. Now, I've had people complain in the past and say, hey, why don't you show it as you do it? Largely because when I do a lot of my customs, I don't know if it's going to actually work, but I did take some photographic evidence that we're going to use to help us along here. So for the transformation, I will get this guy set up before I start talking about that. Obviously, we remove the head. Before, we didn't remove the head, we left it on there. Now we do remove it, and of course you just transform him out into the little robot, and we lay that aside. I guess technically now that's muzzle. For my purposes, that's going to be muzzle. So, where do we begin with this guy? Well, you begin on the back. See if I can even get this out of the way I want to get it out of the way. I might not be able to. Let's see. Maybe I can't. Maybe I can't get that out of the way quite the way I want to. But if we take the arms up and out of the way, we start out and we have a little screw here, and we have a little screw over here. You need to take out both of those screws. When you do, the body will come apart. And I will show you now a couple of images of the body in those two separate pieces. And here we have the front view. Actually, it's the rear side of the front of the robot. You'll notice up by the shoulders we have a couple of holes. Those holes were where the screws were slotted in that we took out. The front of the figure just comes off. From there, we have the rear side of the main robot body, and you'll notice, besides for the two holes where the screws were, you'll notice two slider slots near the top. Those are thicker. You need to basically remove the back from there so that we are left with this. The center column of the body. This is the front view. This is the back view. And from there we just slide out the head. The head itself is just on a mushroom peg. It's pretty standard, straightforward. Once we slot that out, we're left with this type of rounded opening, and that's what we need to work on if we want to turn this guy into a Headmaster Titan Master. You're going to have to use some sort of a rotary tool or a crafting knife in order to accomplish this, and you're going to basically have to just start cutting. Your goal is to turn this rounded section into a squared off section, and once this is done, I can tell you now, you're not going to really be able to put the original head in there because you're not going to have the plastic to hold the mushroom peg in place anymore. Okay, so now you've seen the body in its two pieces. You saw the head there with the, with the mushroom peg. And you know that you have this center column coming up through. And you also saw there that we had a rounded section in the neck where the mushroom peg was slotted into. That's exactly what it was that we had to try and get to and start to, you know, cut out. Some people will use a crafting knife. That's what I did, and cut myself a whole bunch of times. You know, be very careful using that. Kids, don't use it. If you are interested in this, get an adult to do it for sure. Do not do it yourself. But in the end, and this is why we're back here now, in the end, once you have it all kind of cut out, and you need to cut it into a square, you're going to have this. You're going to have this. It is cut into a square. I took the little tank piece apart. I used that same crafting knife to actually cut out the connector port. And I slotted the connector port in here. This is where the head was. I slotted the connector port in there. I used glue, but as long as you use some sort of adhesive that's going to hold, I don't think you're going to have any problems whatsoever. You just need something sticky. So the transformation for this guy now. Let's get into that next. I think it's probably a safe bet that most people will wonder. Not so much if it can transform, but what do you do now with the head? Well, we'll deal with that now as we go through as well. Now I haven't done this mold, so let me just recap before we go on. Paint apps now, because of what I added, and by the way, I thought he looked fine before. I would have still given his paint apps about a 7.5, 8, something like that. With what I have done, with the slight, actually I probably would have given his paint apps about an 8.5. They look great. He was really kind of striking and stunning. Now with what I did, considering the slight mismatch of the blues, it actually drops it. For the first time, I've had paint apps that actually drop it a little bit to a 7.5. His articulation is about a good 6.5, 7.5. Overall, going into the transformation, whether you have this guy just as a stock deluxe or whether you have this guy modded now the way that I just explained to you, we're going into the transformation with him being about a 7, roughly. 7.5. Let's say 7.5. That's what we'll do. That's my hardline answer there. So how do we do the transformation? Well, we begin by folding the feet. I guess folding the feet on this hinge back here, and they should hopefully come up and slot in right there. So I'll show it from reverse with this one. Fold the foot down and bring it up there. And you can see that this is going to kind of be the back of the car already, can't you? Next, you want to extend the body. Before, when you extended the body, the head would have went down inside. Now, of course, there's no head to go down inside, so your little Titan Master port will just go down inside. Next, you want to straighten out the doors. And straighten out the doors. And bring the arms back. When you bring the arms back, there is a slot right here on the forearm. It goes over a little rectangular slot, I guess, on the door to fit into place. And it sort of secures the door, to be honest with you. It's a nice way of doing it, I think, anyway. And now the arms look like this. Let's bring them down to the side, and now we'll go to the backpack. And this is when stuff gets a little bit wonky with this guy. You bring up the hood section out to the front, and now you need to angle up these shoulder pieces so that they will tab in. It's not hard. It's actually fairly easy, but you also need to get these legs up and in right here, and that is a bit challenging. Usually I do the arms first, but you know what, just for kicks and fun, let's try and do the legs first and see how that turns out. So we bring that leg up and it goes in right here. And I want to show this because I want to show you exactly the way it's supposed to fit. That goes in right there. We bring this leg up and bring it in under the roof and it goes in right there. And now a series of teeth and stuff here on the legs and the hood should all go together like this. Series of teeth here, and there's a tooth, I guess, on this center part of the hood that should also go in there. You take these two sections of the bumper, they should tab together, and then you flip them up and they should go into little slots here and a little slot here, but they don't particularly fit in super duper easily there, I find anyway. In fact, you can see like they just came apart there. It might even help if you bring those up first and put them in before you try and put everything together. Maybe that's what I should have done. Maybe that's what I'll try and do now. And I'm going to tell you, they don't tab in splendidly. This one doesn't want to tab in at all. 1 second. And boom, there you go. That's everything now tabbed together. We have the bumper tabbed up, as tight as it's going to tab in on mine anyway. You know, we have these two pieces together. The back window is not painted, it's not clear. Some people have asked me, are you going to paint the back window? No, because the windshield and the side door windows are clear. I think that this would look jarring if it was actually painted, to be honest with you. But that's how everything is supposed to fit together there on the back. Now we come to those arms, and we angle it up, and we angle it up, and we bring them in. Now you need to line up the doors and get them in. They tab in extremely tight and securely. In fact, it's almost a little too tight to tab them in. Almost. And this is the problem that you'll run into sometimes as you're trying to tab this, you know, the doors and stuff in. This was what I was afraid of. As you're trying to tab the doors and stuff in, you'll notice that the legs don't really want to stay. You can't quite get this section in, so you might have to actually take a leg and fold it back, and take a leg and fold it back. You might have to do that. It's a little unfortunate, but you might have to do that. We can snap the hood in place, and now we can try and line all this up. The hardest part is keeping the feet in position. That's why I was trying to do it first. You try and do that like that, and over on this side you get that one in, try and get that foot up and under, and well, I'll be, oh, I didn't quite get this door in, what a shame. And you give it a final push together, and boom, there you go. In the end, there's Nightbeat in his vehicle mode, and I think it looks glorious. I love this vehicle mode. It looks fantastic. He rolls like a champion. It's excellent. For his weapon storage, okay, that's a little lackluster. You got a port here, and you got a port here. I mean, you can take these and store them on the sides, you know, like that, I guess that's an option. In terms of the Headmaster, I tried to put him in the driver's seat before transformation before, and it didn't work. His legs would get in the way. Some people have actually just laid him across here, but then as you're looking through the windshield, you see a Headmaster body just lying across there. So what do? Well, we have this open space all down here under the hood. So I tend to just take them and, at least this worked before, will it work now? Maybe it was the legs I put down there. Was it the legs I put down there? I don't think so. One moment to see if I can get that little guy in here the way that I had him before. And boom. You can see that he's up and under there. Now, is that ideal storage? No, it certainly is not, by any stretch of the imagination. But, you know, he still rolls like a champion. He still transforms. And instead of just having your Headmaster laid off to the side, hey, that's something you can do with them. The transformation is not going to be fun for kids. There's too many pieces, especially with these foot pieces back right here, that all need to tab together at once. I don't think kids are necessarily going to enjoy it. I think that they're going to kind of get them like the car and then sort of be like, ah, that's good enough, without it being perfect. And that's perfectly valid too. If somebody's cool with that, hey, go for it. But in terms of just being a nice, seamless, smooth, fun, easy transformation, I can only give this about a 6. Overall, this figure, this mold, to me, it's fun as a collector. I'm going to give the overall thing that I have done here now to customize them, I'm giving it a 9. But to be true, to be, you know, very honest and forthright with you guys, overall, he's about a 6.5. He's okay, he's all right, but there are certainly figures out there that are a lot more seamless and fun than this guy. Still, if you dig Nightbeat and you'd like to have him as a Headmaster, here is certainly a viable option. And I'm going to tell you, if you're curious whether or not that glue can hold that Headmaster adapter, we'll say, in place, yeah, it really does, to be honest with you. The head goes in and out very easily. You don't feel like putting any strain on it. I can actually lift the whole figure up by that neck piece and it stays just fine. Now there are options, there are adapters that you can buy that also do the job, but hey, for me, this was free and I'm a big fan of that. Anyway, hope that you found this as interesting as I did. And if you were thinking about doing something like this yourself, I hope that I've helped you out with some steps. And if you weren't thinking about it, who knows, maybe I inspired you just a little bit to try your hand at it. Because I promise you folks that if I can do it, you definitely can. I believe in you. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for giving me some of your valuable time. You know that I appreciate it. And I really look forward to the next time that you and I get together for another visit right here inside the videos.